And it looks like we are off. Looks like Scav stream is a little bit ahead, so we'll be syncing to that one.
It's the one behind that we sync to. But yes, I'll have those numbers for you in just a second.
Okay, so while we are working to get synced up, I want to let you guys know that you've probably seen a bunch of this runs as we've done it before, but we're going to give you the basics here. One thing I want you guys to pay attention to is the cannon fire on the tank, because after we get through this first section, it's going to be a lot more powerful. It's going to look a lot cooler as well.
That's right.
So this first section is actually really, really quick overall. It's going to be about 2 minutes, give or take. But basically, the whole premise of this game, not from a story perspective, from an as we're doing it perspective, I got about a minute on each of them going through the door to the overhead. Yep. Okay, beautiful. So basically, there are going to be two styles in this game. You're going to have the side-scrolling section, where for the most part, we're going to be in the tank. There is going to be one notable exception a little bit later. And then there's these overhead sections, which we're going to be playing as, well, since we're in the Japanese version, Kane. But you might also hear us refer to this character as Jason, because Jason is his American name. And basically, the whole point is we go through each area in this underworld section, and we're going to fight the boss at the end. Typical Nintendo stuff. And this first boss here is the Mother Brain. And basically how we're going to do this is we're going to stand to the right, hope we get a good pattern, and just mash the A button for grenades. And neither one of them, they're getting a very favorable pattern.
Not really. Not really. But Scavenger looks like he's coming out of it first.
Yep. Now, as I mentioned before, take a look at the tank when we fire it, because the upgrade we just got there was the Hyper Beam. And that is one of several upgrades we're going to get for the tank, whose name is Sophia, at least in the American version. And specifically, this is one of several items that's going to trigger sequence items in the game. This one is going to allow us to destroy this Guardian statue coming up here, which is going to allow us to progress to Area 2. Scav having a little bit of trouble killing the Guardian there, allowing Jam to basically catch up. And speaking of catching up here, first off, welcome to Area 2. And second of all, throughout this first portion of the game, the distance between the runners isn't going to be a really big deal, because there is a huge skip that comes off near the end of the game. And that skip can potentially, cause someone to win or lose by soft locking the game, or it can cause someone to catch up if they do it flawlessly. So basically, keeping an eye on who is where and how big the gap is isn't going to be a huge deal till we get a little bit later on in the race.
Right, if we see the gap gets wide enough that it's maybe more than a minute, then that will affect the way these guys do Area 7, Area 7.
Yes, 7.
I would think, because whether they do the skip or not. Except the thing is, I'm pretty sure Scavenger is going to go for the skip by default, just because he's so used to doing it. And he tends to be the kind of player who, even when he doesn't need to, he'll pull out the top tier strats just because that's what he spent all the time grinding out practice on.
Yep, I actually had a conversation with him about this a couple of days ago, bringing up that exact question, is if you know your opponent is there, what do you do? And his response is, well, when he races, he doesn't have anything else going on. It's just his TV and his game, so he has no idea what we're saying, what's going on in the race, so he's just going to do what he's comfortable doing, and that's going to be all of the top tier strategies that you would see in his world record run.
Yep, and there's something to be said for that strategy, so let's see if it works for him today. Scav managed to, he missed the vertical shot in 2 rooms back there, and it actually caused him to miss a jump, and I think that's what let Jam catch up, so they're now almost neck and neck here. Scav
Pretty
only
much,
maybe a second and a half ahead of him, so real close so far. And this is going to be really important, the outcome of this match, because if Scavenger's probably going to make it out of group stages into the second stage, he probably is, regardless. But whether Jam wins this match or not, if he wins this match, I think he's got a great chance of being the other person from Group A to make it into the playoffs. And if he loses, I think he's going to have a much harder time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure Scav either way is going to make it, unless he loses to Jam and loses to me. That's possible, but I'd say that would be a very unlikely scenario here.
Hey, that's why you race, though. Anything can happen.
Yep, and in this game, anything really can happen because there are such dangerous tricks that these guys do, and there are just no backup strats for some of the things that could go wrong. So we see soft locks all over the place. We see game overs in really awkward spots. We've seen underdogs winning. All kinds of crazy things that happen in these races. So don't discount the guy who's behind out.
No, not at all. So you see Jam taking an intentional death there, and that's just to set up a death warp a little bit later. Meanwhile, what you saw Scav there do, and actually unpaused a little early from it, is a strategy we're going to be using to kill the area 2, well, technically 4, we don't see it, 6 and 7 bosses. It is known as grenade pausing, and basically when you're firing your grenade, or anything in that matter in this game, if something is taking damage when you pause the game, at least how these bosses are going to work is, with the game paused, they're still taking damage. So by pausing the game, they don't get to counterattack us. Keep in mind, it also works for you if you're taking damage, so make sure that's not happening when you pause. But by doing that, there is an audio cue that you wait for, and once the audio cue happens, you unpause, and look at that, bingo bango, boss dead, no harm, no foul. Of course, when you unpause too early, like Scav did, you then have to actually go back and kill the boss for real.
Right. Fortunately, he knew that there was only maybe 1 or 2 shots left, and he managed to snipe that boss before he got away from him. So that wasn't too bad. I'm sure he's unhappy about that loss, and let's hope that he's not going to get thrown off his game because of that. Scav coming into Area 3 right now.
Mm-hmm. Now, Area 3 is really where the game's going to start to pick up in terms of movement and platforming, because this is really the first time in the game where we're going to see these vertical rooms. And a lot of times with these vertical rooms, not necessarily the going down portion, but the going up portion, it's going to be very, very key to time your shots and your missiles to kill the enemies before you get there, because certain enemies that you're going to see can cause the game to lag immensely. And if they get off their little gumball shots, where it's basically like 4 or 5 little marbles on the ground, it can very, very much lag the game. And that's a lot of the strategy in this game, is to avoid lag. So a lot of the enemies that you kill isn't for the fact of killing them for drops, it's killing them for lag reduction.
Right, so right there, Jam actually managed to kill an enemy that drops a hover in the previous room, and that despawned an enemy that normally creates a lot of lag. And also Jam using safe strats in that room with the tanks. So that's interesting. That's a time loss just to avoid a... I don't even think all that tricky a series of jumps, but I'm not sure why he decided he was going to take safe strats on that.
Yeah, New Life 88 in the chat. You say you've never seen this game before, so if there's any questions that you see coming across in the next 2 or 3 races, feel free to ask them, and we will do our best to answer them for you.
Alright, this room here that Scavenger is in, you have to do it very carefully. He did get the despawn of that guy in the ceiling. That's good. It all has to do with how you enter that room and exactly when you jump and shoot. You can get one of those things to despawn, which is going to save you some damage and let you save a few frames in lag. Jam doesn't get the despawn, but he does manage to kill one of the ceiling guys. And Scavenger in, I think, one of the harder rooms in this stage. This one that he went through right there. Doesn't missile that gun turret, though. That's weird.
Yeah, that's really strange for Scav, because usually he'll pull off a little trick that allows him to fire the missiles vertically.
Right.
And speaking of what Fiesel was saying, Jam getting all kinds of lag due to those gumball machines in that previous room.
Yeah, see, Jam didn't missile that thing either. This is interesting. And right here, this is where some people do a vertical shot, and he doesn't either. Both of these players being really conservative with their missiles. I'm not really sure why. There should be plenty to go around for this stage.
I know that Scav did fire a missile back in Area 1 to get a couple enemies behind him as he was going to the Guardian statue. I don't know if that has any effect, but I know that the way Scav runs Area 3, he's very precise on his missiles, and it usually has 0 as he's leaving.
Yeah, I suppose, but I just saw him skip several uses of the missiles there. Only the very last use of missiles did he actually... go back to the usual missile usage strat. See, right here, you usually see missiles where Jam is at, and then right here was no missiles from Jam either. So both of these guys not using missiles, and I'm really perplexed why that's the case. We'll have to remember to ask them.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely something I'm very interested in knowing.
So right here, this section that Scavenger's in, he's trying to take, and that Jam just entered, he's trying to take a specific amount of damage here. So that he's down to half a box of health by the time he enters this room, and 1 hit from this gray guy will kill him, and it looks like he did the math right. Jam having a little bit of trouble because he ended up shooting an enemy that dropped health, and I don't know if that's going to throw his count off.
Meanwhile, over on Scavenger's side, he's entering the boss room for Area 3. This is Photophage, and Photophage is a little bit tricky because it looks like it's just teleporting around the room, but in reality, every one of these boxes that you see is a different enemy. So if you don't kill it in the proper amount of time, it will just freeze up against the wall like a puzzle piece, and then another one will appear. The fight you just saw Scav do was basically perfect.
Yep, that's you can't really get much better than that. You can shave a few frames off of it, but for the most part, that really is as well as you can do that boss fight. Jam using the attack from the south strats there. Let's see if he... Oh, one of them got away from him. He'll have to return to that one in a bit. He can still have a relatively clean fight as long as he... Oh, watch out. He has plenty of health, though.
So now we get to the part of the run where things start to get a little bit crazier if you've never seen this game before. The item we get from Area 3 from Photophage is the hover engine, which is to, well, hover. And normally what you do is the thing that this game is most known for. You would be backtracking. We'd have to go all the way back through Area 3, Area 2, and Area 1, and well, this is a speedrun and we like to go fast, so instead what we're going to do is we're going to death abuse. And that's basically what you see both Scav and Jam doing right now. Now, you might have seen Scav enter this Area 1 section without the tank. That's just because it's slightly faster to just jump without the tank and just kill off Jason that way. And what we're doing here is we're heading back to the very first screen of the game in Area 1. The reason being, behind where we spawn is a giant tree, as you can see there, or stone face or whatever. We need to hover up that. Well, the problem is when we game over, we don't have any hover. So this is the RNG heavy portion of the run. We have to hope that these flying enemies are going to spawn hovers as we kill them. And there's one from Scav right away. So basically we're hoping to get every time you fire a shot, you get a hover. Of course, that never happens.
Right, so this is where it could equalize here. So Scav gets his second one, so if he can get his third. There's his third. You're
about a second ahead, yep.
And here he is doing the hover. Jam's already got one. Right here, Scav has got to be really careful. He can't be hit by these jumping gray things there, because if you get hit, you will get knocked down, and you're going to have to repeat the whole hover farm. That is a really bad thing to happen. Jam gets his third, takes an intentional death to warp back over. He's not that far behind now. I would say about 15 seconds at the most.
Now here is Area 4, and we're not going to see too much of Area 4 because... as we mentioned, all the bosses drop something. Well, Area 4 boss drops a key, and, well, we have a way to get by the lock that it has. So, basically, we're going to use something called a door wrap trick, and it's going to be seen extensively here in Area 4, Area 5, and the Area 7 skips we were mentioning. But the basic premise is we're going to trick the game into entering a door the wrong way, shift the tile sets over one set, and walk through that like nothing really happened.
Right, yeah, it goes by so fast you can barely tell. Let's watch as Jam does it. But what he's doing is he's going to get out of the tank, and he's going to walk back to the left just a little bit till he triggers the door, and then immediately turn right. Let's see if he gets it on the first try.
He does.
He does. Great job. And meanwhile, Scavenger is doing essentially that same trick right here to wrap the screen 3 times in order to get by these breakable blocks right here that he's about to pass through. And that pause and unpause, it resets the hitboxes of the scene elements, of the background elements there, so that he can continue on his way.
Now, if you remember, I mentioned earlier that most of the overall in this side-scrolling was going to be done with the tank. This is the major exception, because you'll see Jam coming up to right now. There's going to be a little alcove where he's going to swim up with Jason. It's actually intended to swim up this way with Jason, because without the dive engine, which we don't have yet, you actually can't get up here with the tank.
You can't even with the dive engine.
You can't even with the dive engine.
Because that little gooseneck there.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, there you go. This entire side-scrolling section is intended to be done swimming with Jason. And by the way, I do want to point out, this area is Area 5, home to the best music in the game.
And there's a lot of different ways to do these rooms. What Jam chose to do there, walking a little bit before shooting that guy, not maybe the fastest way, but probably more reliable than some of the other methods. Personally, I just take the damage and don't even kill anything in that room, because there's not enough enemies to create lag. This room, though, that Jam is in, he needs to kill some enemies to reduce the lag, and it seems like he did a good job of it, because I don't see too much lag going on.
No, not at all. So to shift sides onto Scav's screen for a second, because Jam will be getting here momentarily, First off, we're going to be taking a death. Second of all, this coming up here is one of the main reasons why this is being run on the Japanese card as opposed to the American cartridge. There is a glitch you can do in this next upcoming boss fight, whose real name is Hardshell, but we call him Zoidberg due to Scavenger getting really mad at him one day and just yelling out, "Come on, Zoidberg." But basically, there's a trick. In the American version, it's frame perfect. But basically what's going to happen, Scav's going to walk down, walk up, and then pause the game. You have an 8-frame window to do it, and if you do it when the screen goes back, you're going to get into basically what you see here, this sort of glitch world. Basically, all you have to do is avoid the regular enemies because that Game Boy looking thing on the wall is the boss's hitbox.
Yeah, and he left a lot of stuff alive, so that's actually kind of risky because you're getting bombarded by these enemies while you're trying to fight that boss, and you don't come in here with very much health. I'll see if Jam gets the pause. He's a little early on it, so he's going to pause a bit excessively here. Oh no, he missed it. It's an 8-frame window, and he went right past it. If he had been mashing real hard, he wouldn't have missed it, because anyone can mash and hit an 8-frame window, but now he's got to do the old-fashioned strats here. And he doesn't have any more lives left. He went down to his last life, I believe, so he's got to win this.
I can say that earlier Jam was practicing doing this hard way just in case this happened, so I know he was practicing this earlier. Now, the big thing you're going to notice with doing this fight hard way, which is what we're doing here, is it's actually easier to hit this boss while he is strafing. So basically that's why you see Jam doing all of that. And basically while the boss is strafing, he is going to be strafing as well. It's the easiest way to do it.
That's right. The bubbles will break your bullets, basically.
Yep. But your bullets will also break the bubbles, and unfortunately the bubble just broke Jam.
That's it. And he's got to go way back now. He's going to repeat this whole swimming section. So now now Scavenger can breathe a sigh of relief. Jam not bringing the tank down. That's actually a mistake. He doesn't need to do this screen wrapping now. The only reason it's faster to do this the first time around is that we don't have the tank with us because we did the key skip in Area 4, which leaves the tank behind. But if you continue, you should come down here with the tank and blast those blocks using the tank's buster instead of going to do the wraps.
So yeah, and just to point out here, we mentioned earlier that Scav doesn't like to have anything up on his screen. So even though at this point Scav has a fairly formidable lead that isn't going to require him to do either of the Area 7 skips, I wouldn't be surprised if he does both of them just because we mentioned that's basically how he likes to do things. And he does manage to successfully take care of the Leap of Faith.
Right, a thing that he didn't need to do because he is ahead, but yeah, like you said, Jam is not interested in where his opponent is. Scavenger's gonna play his game the same way regardless. And he is the world record holder in this category, so I mean, certainly we don't have reason to doubt him.
No, but the other reason to point this out is because there is the potential for a soft lock on both of the Area 7 skips if you do them wrong. So if Scav soft locks, that could put Jam in a position to catch up. So this race is far from over, even though it looks like it is.
Yeah, even something like dying to the lava skips could also swing it back Jam's way.
True.
That's not as bad a death as a soft lock, but it's still something that could help Jam catch up.
Yep.
See, Scav doing he doesn't quite get the near ice blocks. What he wanted to do is kill the first 2 columns of ice blocks in each row there. And Scav overshot by just a little bit, so he did that room kind of slow.
Jam going in with an extra life this time into hard shell, just in case.
Just in case. Well, fortunately, we don't have to take the hover death. Since he continued, normally you use up a life doing the death warp after the hover farm. So, it's sort of hard to kill that extra life off anyway, so most people at this point would take the safety life. So he's already got the trick. I think he even paused an extra time just to be super sure.
Absolutely, and I do want to point out, just in case you might not know what we're talking about when we refer to the term soft lock, basically that is a point in the game where you retain control of your character, but you have got yourself in such a position that nothing you do will cause you to move or be able to progress with the game. Right. So that is what we mean when we say soft lock.
Yeah, you get in this game. Essentially, it means getting stuck in a wall.
Right.
And Jam finishes his. Oh, he's got one more life to burn off. Scavenger also using up lives. He wants to be at 0 lives when he finishes this boss. He does that spike room kind of a slow way. He could have taken a diagonal there, but he walked the cardinal directions instead.
Now, speaking of this boss here, it's going to look a little bit familiar to you guys because it's basically a palette swap of the Area 2 boss. So we're going to kill it the exact same way. The only difference is instead of killing it from the bottom like we do with Area 2, we're going to kill it from the side.
Right, it's exactly the same thing, same audio cue to start it and same audio cue to unpause. The only difference is you go to the side because let's say you were to miss it, you don't want to be hit by one of those boss's projectiles. This version of the boss is not just a pellet swap, he also has a lot more projectiles than the other versions, so it's just a slightly safer spot to kill it from. We've seen a bunch of people kill him from below in this this tournament, even though that's not safe, so people do still do it, just like the Area 2 boss sometimes.
That is true. So now we're going to go back to what we did earlier, and that's backtracking. And we're going to do that by more death warping. So basically, we're going to get to the end of Area 5 here, and Scav's going to kill himself twice, simply because it's faster to do it here. And then we're going to go back to Area 4, that room where we had the key skip, and kill ourselves there. Reason being is, well, we had to skip a key, and there's no door in this side of the room to glitch back through. So the only way to get back is to death warp.
Yep, you have to take and continue here because without the key, you're locked in. There's no way out. So there's his continue. Now he's back to the beginning of Area 4 and then back into Area 1.
And we're going to do more backtracking because that's what this game loves to make us do.
That's true. We're retrekking through all these areas here. Let's see how Jam does with this this leap of faith that he's about to approach. There we go. It's not that hard to jump, but it's just known to be really getting in players' heads. Sometimes people worry too much about it and end up falling into that pit. It's just something to be aware of. Someone playing at the level of either of these players shouldn't have any trouble doing that jump, but it happens even to the best of us.
So just to point out, the reason we call that the leap of faith is because you have a very short window of time between where you can hit the A button so you'll have enough distance to make it and not bonk your head and fall down. But if you wait too long, you're just going to fall off. So it's a very short window of time. That's why we refer to it as the leap of faith.
Yeah, and it's weird. Like when you land from a jump, you can't jump again immediately. So a lot of the difficulty of the jump is just knowing what that cooldown time is and just sort of internalizing how many frames you need to wait before repressing that button. So it's not too tough, it's just a little unintuitive until you develop the muscle memory for it.
Meanwhile, over on Jam's side of the screen, this vertical ice climbing room is giving him a little bit of trouble, just because, well, there's ice physics involved.
I like that he at least tried to do it the proper way, though. Those blocks that he shot are the correct ones to shoot, and he takes the death here. See, okay, we've talked about this, I know, but there's a couple different places you can take a death in this area, and I don't think that one that he did was optimal. I think it's better to take it in the overhead section coming up. Did we lose Jam stream or what?
I think we did.
Is it lost for you too on live streamer?
It is frozen on my live streamer and on the commentary restream.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll catch back up with him in a bit. I think I can actually pop over to Scav's audio. Let's just see. Oh, sorry, that's really loud.
Yep, so while we work on getting that, as we mentioned, backtracking is the nom du jour for this game. So we're going to be basically doing that. And as you saw, we got a new toy to do that with. That toy, of course, being the Wall 1 add-on, which allows us to climb on walls. Not ceilings, we'll get to that. But Scav here is going to be approaching in Area 7, and he's going to be doing the first of 2 skips.
Oh.
Now, how this skip is going to work is it's basically going to just drop us down to the bottom half of the room, which effectively skips about, what, half the level?
Yeah, we skip almost all. Well, this right here skips more than half the level right there. Sorry, the stream went down at sort of an awkward time, but all he did is hop out of the tank and he starts doing these screen wraps. He needs to do 6 of them. And this very last one, he needs to inch over to the edge and then back. And now he's getting really weird RNG from the ceiling hopper. Let's hope. Okay, good. It's gone. And he does make it. He does manage to make it all the way down. What he did is he fell a very long distance and then he took damage from an enemy just before he hit the ground. And when you take damage from an enemy, it actually overrides the fatal fall damage that you would have taken. So you take just the 2 damage from hitting an enemy instead of like the full 8 bars of damage that you are supposed to take from falling. So that's what allows us to get all the way down here. And now he is trying to do 3 screen wraps here. And that is going to shift everything over just enough that he can do this trick. He's coming over into this area. He's going to walk off this. He's going to crawl off this because it lowers your hitbox just enough that you won't take fatal fall damage there. And he's going to do that same thing again. And right here, he's got to pause and unpause at just the right time, which he did. And that gets him into here. So now he's going to take a death so that he can get his health back to do lava skips.
Yep, and the way the lava skips work is, as you saw, normally if you walk in the lava, you just die. However, this game is a little bit wonky, where if you've been hit and you're using your invincibility frames, or iframes, you can walk on water. If we were going through Area 4, the same sort of concept applies there, but with water as opposed to lava.
Yep, right there, he's done these well, and in fact, he kind of he did that more dangerously than he needed to. He could have done safer versions of that skip, but like we said before, Scav does not really change his play to be safer in races. He's not really one for safe strats. Alright, this frog boss here, you gotta wait for it to hop 4 times. He's gonna try a grenade pause. He does manage to get it. Let's hope he unpauses at the right time. Alright, there we go.
Yep.
He's good.
Yeah, now when it comes to this frog boss, his only weak point is his mouth, and it's just easier when in the sense of timing things to actually kill him the way we do there by basically setting up on certain pixels on the frog butt.
Yep, that frog butt is just the right spot to stand. You walk into the frog butt just a little bit, and you can use one of the spots on the frog's back as a visual cue for where to stand.
Yep, so now we're going to be making our way to the final area in the game, Area 8. And as everything else before, we did need the upgrade that we got from Area 7, which is Wall 2. Now, Wall 2 is going to allow us to walk on ceilings, and it's kind of a double-edged sword because Wall 2 wants to trigger every time you drive over some things, so it does make a couple of things a bit later on in Area 8 a little bit of a pain. Or a lot of a pain, as you saw Scav there getting a little bit trolled by the Wall 2 activation.
Yep, that'll happen to you. But right now, Scavenger is heading into Area 3 for the final time. Jam is still entering Area 7. He's just about to enter it. And Scavenger, reason he's entering Area 3, again, we've been here before, but we weren't here with the ability to crawl on ceilings. And climbing on ceilings is what lets you get to Area 8, the final area of the game. So far, Scavenger does not have a hover. We like to get a hover drop so that we can do a little hover over some spike pits in Area 8, but it's not necessary. Oh, there's his hover, so we won't get to see the spike jump. We're going to see the hover strats. Jam trying to get 6 screen wraps so that he can do the Area 7 skip. Let's see. This is the easy part of the skip, so let's hope he at least gets this. And he's in the right spot, gets good RNG from the wall crawler. He doesn't do the duck strat, he does the jump strat. That's a little riskier, because depending on what one of those off-screen enemies does, sometimes you'll end up dying trying to do it that way. But yeah, he's fine.
Risky, but very, very good RNG on that wall walker there. So meanwhile, while Jam is attempting to get the either 3 or 4 wrap version of the second skip here, this room that you see Scav in now, that's where we need the hover, because otherwise you have to jump over that, and it's, again, very precise timing, similar to the Leap of Faith. If not, you're going to take damage falling into the spikes, take damage falling out of climbing out of the spikes, and it's just bad times for all involved.
Yeah, Jam's getting a little trolled by that wall crawler there, but he does manage to get through, and Scavenger is doing great in the Hellway here, almost unstoppable.
So let's take a look and see if Jam gets the rest of this right. Going in with 1 bar of health. Gets the pause into the overhead Area 7. Very, very well executed skips there by Jam.
Alright, well Scav has, well, he's maybe a little low on health. He does need to be careful. There are a few things that could kill him at this point.
Speaking of killing, Jam just fell into the lava. Oh my god!
He's got to start it again. It really is easy to mess up those lava skips, which is why I was, well, a little bit worried when I saw Scav doing them, because even someone who knows the game really well can screw up one of the lava skips again. The timing is so tight on them.
This has just not been Jam's run at all.
Well, Scav managed to pick up a ton of health in that room instead of, what's this new strat?
What is that?
New strats from Scavenger. He jumped through the spikes. I guess you can only do that if you have enough health at the end, what we generally do just from drops. New strats there. I don't know if I've ever seen that one done.
I can't say I have either. So this is the first of two bosses. This is the plutonium boss. Now, to defeat him, we're going to use a variation of the grenade pause strat. It doesn't necessarily work the same way. We can just keep the game on pause. So we're basically going to be rhythmically pressing buttons. It's going to be A, pause, pause, A, pause, pause. And that was a fairly strong fight there from Scav on the plutonium boss. So now we're going to be fighting the Underworld Lord, and we can basically cheese the crap out of the Underworld Lord because basically he's been a very bad boy. He stole our pet frog. So we are going to put him in the corner and make him think about what he's done.
Yep, so he's just got to keep the mashing up. He's only about, I think we say about 8 presses per second for this, which is not really all that fast. You don't have to mash that fast to do this strat. You just have to be careful not to ever let it up during the 35 seconds that you're sitting there. Yep. Jam taking safe strats here? I can't tell if he just got hit by the turret. What he did is he could have just walked off and gotten hit by the turret in order to avoid taking the fatal fall damage, but instead he crawled off and tried to avoid the turret. But he still takes the death anyway. See, I'm not sure. He seems like he's mixing strats there. What he was doing was a good setup for doing this area with an extra life to just guarantee you're not going to fall in the lava.
And I do want to point out that according to Scav in the chat, that is a new SRL race world record he just posted.
Yeah, 30:40. No, 30:21. Yeah, 30:21 is the fastest time we've seen in this tournament, and I guess the fastest time that's been posted on SRL ever. So that's really good.
Yep. And Scav also calling out to Brother Mojo to make sure he was here to see the spike jump TM during the race. Now, meanwhile, over on Jam's side of the screen, we are at the frog boss. Now, this technically is another palette swap.
He's a little high up.
The area, yeah, still manages to get it, though.
Yeah, you can usually hit the mouth. It's just we're not hearing his audio, but right now we're probably hearing a high-pitched whine that's drowning out the audio cue that he needs. That's really the disadvantage of being too high up when you grenade that thing.
Yep. So if anyone wondering, that boss's real name is Solar Fred. At least in the American version it is, because Fred is the name of our pet frog who ends up jumping down here. The Japanese version is a little bit crazier. It's Japan, that's really all you need to know. But the Area 4 boss is the normal version of Fred the Frog, but since we skip Area 4, we don't see him.
Well, Jam's going to finish this out. This is a best 2 out of 3 that we do here. We do up to 3 races. So the person who wins this match is the person who wins 2 races. So, even though Scav has already scored a point, it is not his match yet.
Nope, not at all. I do just want to point out, I do love the crazy little happy smiling animations at the end of the 2 figures. I just find them so cheesily adorable.
Yep, they are pretty good. That other, that's you on the left. You have blue hair because, you know, anime, but on the right...
Again, we are making our way through Area 3 to Area 8 again on Jam's side of the stream. And we're going to be hoping to grab a hover drop on the way, as Fiesel mentioned, as Scav was going through. Excuse me. This is basically one of the last chances we're going to have to grab that. Hopefully we get a good drop here.
Nope.
No hover drop. Ooh, that was awfully close there. There is a potential there that if one of those enemies hit you, you fall off the wall or the ceiling. And if that's the case, you have to backtrack all the way back to the beginning of the room to do it. I know that in some of the races I have seen that people have to go back like 3 or 4 times just because the RNG was being very, very nasty.
Yeah, we have had some really unfortunate situations there with it. But now we're in Area 8. Jam's got full health. He doesn't have the hover, so we will have to see how he deals with the spike pit room. I know he knows how to do the spike jump.
So now we are here in Area 8, and Jam, there's the Wall 2 trigger I was talking about. Jam getting a little too close to the edge of the wall, and Wall 2 triggers. And the reason it doesn't trigger on Wall 1 is because... Wall 2 basically triggers off of the ceiling, and there it is again on the spike jump. However, Jam having enough health to go through it. However, that does mean he may have a little bit of an issue here in this room. He's going to opt to go back and take the death. Why do you go back and take it? Okay, you do it once we respawn on that side. Fair enough, because we have to fall through these spikes here to get to where we need to go. Now, the reason we end up having to fall through a lot of these spikes here in the game is because at the very last bit of programming in the game, the developers decided they were going to change things up. Initially, the way Area 8 was supposed to work
Yeah, the extra boss.
Yeah, the extra boss thing. But I just realized in chat you were muted in Discord. Like, what did I miss?
Yeah, I hit my mute button by accident.
Yeah, and here I am just going. I'm like, oh, when Fiesel wants to say something, he'll just jump in. I'm just going along, humming along.
Right.
Nobody's happening.
Oh goodness. All right.
We'll get to that part next time we get to Area 8.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next time.
Around.
So here we go. Final section here. Jam's doing okay on health. He's low, but there's not really a lot of things that you can take hits from here. So I think he's fine. Playing it super safe there, going down those down the stairs instead of jumping. Just wants to stay on the ground where you're safer. A little early.
Although I would imagine we're not going to see a spike jump from Jam.
Nope. Well, that's a brand new strat. We haven't seen it from anybody until today, so I don't think Jam's had time to practice that. I'm going to go practice that now that I've seen it.
Yep, so I'll be doing commentary by myself for the second race while Fiesel is practicing spike jump.
Right. So here we go. Is his positioning right? Decent. Looks decent. We'll know in a minute. Good. Yeah, he had to reposition himself. I think he knew he was too high up. And now he's too low. Yeah, overall not a great fight for Jam. The important part is he has to survive the second part.
But yeah, let's be completely honest. This whole run hasn't been a good run for Jam.
Yeah,
I don't mean to really bring attention, but just all the complete bad luck he had with missing the crab glitch, dying in 7 twice. So it's just overall been a fairly lackluster run. But that's why we do best 2 out of 3, because the RNG in this game can be brutal. So all Jam has to do is put this first run out of his mind and go back and, win 2 straight against the world record holder. No big deal, right?
Right.
Easy peasy every time.
Skavenger is not undefeated in this. He's won all of his matches, but he hasn't won all of his races. He has been beaten. So it is certainly something that could happen. Here's the ending. Slightly different than the ending on the North American version. You see there's no frog sitting on top of that car. Also, the crumbling castle looks different on this for some reason. I don't know why they wanted it to look like an alien hookah instead of a tower, but...
Alien hookah?
That's what it looks like, an alien hookah.
I will never be able to look at the castle the same way again now that you've said that.
Right. Alright, well, we've broke Greenleaf effect.
Oh.
Alright, so let's let these guys get a drink of water, stretch their legs, and then they're gonna start this next match.
So at this point, while we are waiting for you to, take a quick powder break, use the bathroom, get a drink, if there aren't any questions in the chat you may want to know what's going on, feel free to ask them now. If we have the time to answer them, we will. Otherwise, when we get to that point in the run, we will address the question. But yes, I definitely do agree when it comes with the... at the end of the game, I do love the scene at the end where the frog is just sitting there on the tank. It's just, for some reason, so adorably awesome.
Alright, just getting these guys into the next race channel. Very thanks.
Very thanks. Did you mute yourself again in Discord earlier?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. The girl on the right is the engineer that built the tank. The Metal Attacker 1. She made it, and you're the pilot. This guy on the left.
So Dark Rupee in chat, is there going to be another Blaster Master tournament that doesn't skip Area 4?
Well, we call that category. Well, that category's name changes every week, it seems like. But to enforce that category, we don't allow people to take game overs. They have to do it without continuing. In the case of a tournament, we would just say, that if you continue, you have to return to where you were, so you can't use any continues that save you time.
Kind of similar to the same way we did the Zelda 2 tournament.
Yeah, it's basically like that, because we did 100% all keys, 1 CC, 1 credit clear, which is supposed to normally preclude continuing, but because people are going to die in game over and continue in a race, we just made it so that you couldn't take continues in a place that actually saved you time. So if we ever did decide we were going to do a Blaster Master tournament that included doing all the areas, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Maybe next year that is what we'll do. But yeah, we might see that. That's what we're proposing for AGDQ in January. It got proposed this time, but it was rejected. But I'm thinking that maybe next time it'll be in that category.
Maybe.
I hope.
Hey, all I know is, speaking of AGDQ, I'm planning on being at AGDQ 2017, so sign me up, give me a microphone, let's do this. As soon as someone puts a microphone anywhere near me, Fiesel's going to be running in. Don't you dare give that to him, you'll never get it back.
Alright, well, these guys are just getting set up for the next race. Looks like they're already in the channel and just waiting for them to ready up. Alright, but just a reminder, so far in this tournament, we're breaking everything up into groups. There's 4 groups, and these guys, Scavenger and Jam, are both in Group A. And in that group, both Jam and Scavenger are 2-0. They've got 2 wins and 0 losses so far. And there's one other person in that group that also has 2 wins, 0 losses. But it's essentially, this match right here is going to go a long way towards determining who advances. I would say that if Scavenger wins this match, he's essentially guaranteed to advance from Group A, and if Jam wins this match, I'd say he's guaranteed to advance from Group A. I think that whoever wins this will definitely be on the advancement list.
I 100% agree with that assessment.
Right. The loser of it, though, is not necessarily going to be eliminated. If that person beats me, I'm the 3rd person so far who's undefeated in Group A. If the loser of this match beats me, then they can still make it in. But if they lose this match today and then lose the one to me, then they're not going to make it in. So this is one of those things where if you win, you're in, and if you lose, you're not necessarily not in. So sort of got to wait a little longer to find out your fate.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I guess while we're waiting for this, that does beg the question when it comes to the top 8. Is the top 8 going to be seeded by PB coming into the tournament, or is it going to be seeded by points in your bracket?
Sorry, wait, say that again.
Yeah, seeding into the top 8, because there are 4 brackets and 2 people from each group advance. In the top 8, are they going to be seeded by what their PB was coming into the tournament or what it is right now? Or are they going to be seeded by their point total from the brackets?
I believe we're going to... That's a good question. I believe the seeding is going to be based on their performance in the tournament.
Okay.
And so far, it looks like we've got... Jam is ready. Oh, he just wanted to give us a little music to listen to. I see. That's why he started playing.
Yes, he's giving us music, but he's giving us the wrong music to listen to.
If this music is wrong, I don't want to be right.
It's just not Area 5. Yeah, I see you in chat, Dracados. I think I still owe you a bop from the other day. I'm gonna be nice, though.
Alright, testing out the shocks on this tank. Yep, looks like it works. Area 5 skip would be interesting. It really seems like you should be able to skip Area 5 some way, because like the entrance to it and the exit to it are right next to each other. All you need to be able to do is go over like one screen width and you can enter the door to the next area. I guess you don't have much to work with. The only thing, when you first enter Area 5, the only thing you have is that door back to Area 4. There's none of the side-to-side doors that you can do screen wraps with. We're just waiting for Scavenger to finish his ice cream cone.
Wait, he got ice cream and didn't ask us anything? Do we want anything?
I think he got cones for all of us, but then he decided he was hungry and ate them all.
Wow, what a jerk.
I know, I hope he loses.
I know, seriously, he's not going to share his ice cream with us?
Yeah, if he wins, though, we're having an ice cream party, so I actually hope he wins.
Ooh. Good point. Meanwhile, Jam trying to moonwalk in between the ties. I'm not gonna lie, for a second there, that kind of reminded me of the two mummy bosses from Castlevania.
Oh yeah, a little bit. They do sort of look like mummies. I always call these things golems, but I guess they could be metal mummies.
Golem's definitely a more appropriate word. Just the way he was doing it, where they were sort of each on one side, it just reminded me of the mummies from Castlevania.
And Jason only percent run. Unfortunately, Jason does not jump very high, and he cannot fall very far. There's ways around the not falling very far part, but it is very tricky to get Jason to jump high, which is probably one of the reasons why we won't ever see the Area 5 skip. Because even if you could wrap around to the room that you need to be in, you have to jump up a ledge that's way taller than what Jason can jump on. Alright, they're starting out again. Let's see. Close to synced. I think we'll need to adjust this a little bit.
Yeah. And we are off again, as Feasel mentioned. This is the second of potentially 3 matches here in this Group A race. Both of these runners currently are 2-0 in Group A. And the way it's going to work out math-wise here is both of them are pretty much guaranteed to be in with a win. There is a potential for some shenanigans to happen, but for the most part, this is a win-and-in scenario. And, no pressure on Jam or anything, but if he wants to be part of that win-and-in scenario, he, just has to win 2 in a row against the world record holder. No big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. But we have seen Jam up with some pretty solid play in this tournament so far. He's certainly doing almost all of the highest level strats. So it's really just the difference in execution between him and Scavenger. And as we've seen, Scavenger goes for all the hardest tricks, and some of them are really risky, so lots of things could go wrong for him. We've certainly seen him have some bad runs in this tournament, so it can happen, but because of the 2 out of 3 situation, Scav's definitely got this in his favor right now.
Mm-hmm. So if you were here for the first one of the races, both of them had a little bit of trouble with patterns on Mother Brain coming up. So let's see if she decides she wants to be a little bit more cooperative.
Sure. I want to point something out really quick.
This,
so look at these skulls that these guys are shooting, and they drop missiles. Oh, he missed. He didn't even kill the second skull. And there we go. Jam gets both of them. The reason why those guys weren't using the missiles that we were talking about is because one of those things, too much lag, and one of those guys didn't drop missiles for Jam.
Aha.
And they both got the same pattern from the boss. Exact same pattern, and managed to do it in 2 cycles, which is what you want with that pattern.
Now, I didn't mention this coming up on the first... Go ahead.
Or no, that's fine. You're good.
I didn't mention this coming up on the first race, but I'll mention it now. Lag, as we mentioned, plays a big role in this game. So there is a potential coming up here, and I really don't want to do the whole commentator's curse thing, but I do feel the need to bring it up. This Guardian statue you see coming up here, there is a small chance based off of last statue it won't trigger the let the blocks rise up thing to let you through. Meanwhile, Scav's going to get through just fine. I only bring it up because we have Jam also getting through there, so no big problems. The other thing that lag can do is it's not as big of an issue here in the Japanese version, but it still can happen. You've actually seen it during these races. Zombie glitch, where basically there's just enough lag to cause the game to not recognize that you've killed a boss. So it's going to go into its death animation. It's going to start exploding, but it's not going to die. It's just going to sort of sit there in its weird I'm dead palette color randomly. So that is something to take a look at, or to look for potentially.
Yeah, it's happened in this tournament. It has happened before. Alright, so this section here, you're really going to start to see the player who's worked more on refining their execution start to pull ahead. All these little jumps where you're changing directions, every one of these platforms that you jump around, you can save some frames on or lose some frames on, depending on how you do it. And Scav about a room ahead. Part of that was just due to Jam falling in the water in Area 1, but Scav has really got this area optimized, so you usually expect to see him pull ahead in this section.
Mm-hmm. Yep, the other thing you might have noticed with Scav going through Area 2 is that he attempted to jump over a caterpillar, and it looked like he landed right on it but took no damage. That just has to do with the tank's hitbox, basically. And your hitbox, if you don't understand what we're talking about, your hitbox is basically where the game registers you being hit and taking damage. And the entire tank, while you would think it actually will take damage, there are parts of the tank that do not take damage when you run into them or something hits them. So you might see that happen where, like, hey, I should be taking damage. It looks like I should be taking damage. Why didn't I take damage? Well, it's because the game didn't actually hit your hitbox.
Right. Basically the center... Oh, I have to stop saying basically. Okay, the center third of the tank is where the hitbox is. The front and back, where you see the 2 wheels, are not part of its damage hitbox. They are part of its hitbox that detects collisions against objects in the environment. But against enemies and enemy projectiles, the front and back of the tank won't take any damage. And here, the pausing. We haven't talked about this yet, and this is a great dungeon to talk about it because there's pausing in every door transition. But essentially when you go through one of these doors, there is a smooth transition. The screen slides over from one room to the next. If you pause and unpause while that slide transition is happening, the game will immediately jump the screen over into the next room. And you end up saving, I think, about 21 frames with each of these door pauses, assuming you do it perfectly. And Scav gets the grenade pause. Jam does not take a death there before the boss. Typically, it's faster to take a death and waste one of your lives here so that you don't have to take that death later. Jam gets the pause as well. And he's done, so no problem there, but he does have one more life than he should at this point. So that's going to slow him down when he dies at the end of Area 3 to do his game over, his intentional game over.
Mm-hmm.
Well, back into this room here, both these guys on their way to Area 3, but Scav with a lead of, I would say, about 20 seconds right now. Maybe not quite, maybe a little less than that, but getting pretty substantial.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get a measure here as he goes in.
And for the most part,
28.
Yep. And honestly, for the most part, there isn't anything overly, wrong. Hasn't done anything messed up. Hasn't had any, bad luck. For the most part, execution-based lead.
Yeah. Scavenger is 28 going in. Jam is 45 going in. So
right about
really, yeah,
seconds.
Yeah, 18 seconds. I'm sorry, 17 seconds. Again, Scavenger getting the or maybe it was Jam that got it. Someone got it last time, but there's a despawn of one of the ceiling droppers. Pretty cool. So right here, this room that Jam is in, if he can shoot one of these sign flyers and get it to drop an H, that's what causes the despawn. Otherwise, right there, that pink thing on the ceiling is going to be spawning, and right there you see all that lag that was happening. That lag could have been avoided. But it is based on luck. You have to get a sign flyer, and you have to get him to drop. And Jam, once again, taking the safe strat around those tanks. Wasting probably a good 3 seconds doing that. He's not doing the safe strat here, and look, this is where this not doing the safe strat goes back to burn him. Because right there he had to wait for those bombs. He did not have enough health to plow through that.
And the big take a look at here is, as we saw, and the runners weren't using missiles. Now, I'm not sure if on Scav's side it was because he was out of missiles or just decided not to use them. I know on Jam's he ran out. But keeping a track of or watching for missile use is going to be a big thing here in Area 3 again.
I don't know why Jam killed that thing on the ceiling. I have not found that to be the culprit of any of the lag there. I don't really think it's worth killing that ceiling guy. And oh, Scav spills some of the gumballs and spills 2 sets of gumballs. Super lag as he was going through that door. Look how much lag there was.
Yeah, that's another room. That's 3 sets of missiles he hasn't used. The 2 in the gumballs and then that vertical missile shot. On that?
Did he actually get all of his drops? Wasn't Scav having trouble with one of those cyber skulls?
I think he was, and now come to think of it, I think it dropped it, but he never went back to pick it up. He just went.
Yeah, like it dropped, and then he went past it, and then he went back to try to kill it, and then it dropped, and then he said, "Oh, you know what? Screw it," and he moved on. I think so. Yeah, I think actually Scav's low on missiles. Yeah, I think Scav is actually low on missiles this time. Yeah, so right here, that thing that Scavenger stopped to shoot, he shouldn't have had to do that. And you see Jam just spewing missiles everywhere, so you know Jam's got all of the missile drops. Yep.
But yeah, missile inventory, that's something I haven't seen a whole lot in the game. Usually it's just, missile, and it just be something we take for granted. So having both runners, each in a different race, have missile issues, that's a new one, actually.
Yeah, that's a pretty weird. It's pretty rare to not pick up one of those missile drops too. So I'm just surprised to have seen it in 2 races in a row. All right.
And Scav, meanwhile, going to be crossing these spikes to set up his death warp here in the this barricade room here.
And taking the fast
strat. Going to be taking the aggressive route through. And Scav had a pretty perfect photophage fight last time, so let's see if he can duplicate that. And just for a little bit more bit of knowledge, if you want to do some translation, the name photophage
translates to light eater.
Yep. Not as flawless an execution as the last time, but still he managed to, quote, one cycle the boss, which basically means he didn't have any of them go up to the side of the wall and just say, hey, I'm going to sit here and chill for a while.
Alright, so Jam's looking a little awkward, but he is managing to keep it in check. He hasn't missed one yet. And there we go. That fight is fine. I say awkward, but I think he did just fine with it.
Yeah, it just looked a little... missing his jump up to the top of the platform for his death, and instead of landing on top, he ended up falling a little bit short, and basically he's using the momentum of the tank plus his ejecting thing to basically ejector seat himself out.
Yeah, the ejector seat glitch is kind of fun. If you press the select button, which is what causes Jason to pop out of the tank, on the same frame that you press the A button, which is the jump button, you get Jason jumping out of the tank so high that he actually takes fall damage when he comes down. So he'll just like go shooting right out of the top of that tank and then land and take damage. It's actually not useful here, but there are some places in the run where you can get some use out of it in order to kill Jason off slightly faster. So let's watch the hover farm.
Now, one thing I do want to point out about the hover farm here is take a look where Scavenger is positioning himself for this hover farm.
Missed one.
It's being pretty bad right now, because I know Jam in the last race was basically underneath on top of that platform that Scav just died on. That's where Jam was last time, which is slightly unoptimal, just because of the slower platform where you saw Scav farming gives you a better angle to shoot things at. It looks like Jam is still going to be staying on this platform here.
Yeah, this is not the right spot. This is the spot that we use for... Actually, no, this isn't even the spot that we used in the other category. This is just a bad spot. So part of the reason is that you don't get as many spawners. There are more trigger points if he was further to the right. And the other problem is that there are places, like right there, it's really easy. Well, I mean, right there he was trying to die. But if he had been hoping to get more hovers, he wouldn't have been in a spot to get a few of those flyers that went by. So there are some spawns that you can't even hit. Scav's got the key skip.
That's it. Easy peasy every time.
I mean, it should be. People
and
are
now
pretty
we're making our way back to
it.
Area 5.
Yep.
Yeah, no, the key skip's one of those where basically it's you either get it, or every now and then I have seen an issue where you pop out of the tank and for some reason the enemy that's right there, I'm not going to play nicely, and just sort of falls on top of you.
Yeah, that enemy has some problems. It gives you some problems sometimes. If you can do the skip immediately, see, Jam had to actually shoot it. But if you do the skip immediately and get it on the first try, then it shouldn't matter what the enemy does. But yeah, we have seen that thing troll some people. I actually lost 2 runs to that enemy the other day.
Actually, yeah, I do remember that. You were one of the ones happening to.
I didn't. Yeah, and I normally have no problem. Like, I get it first time every time without having to think about it. And that for some reason that day, I just could not get past that freaking enemy. It was so bad.
Yeah, no, it was those. Yeah, there was like 4 or 5 runs where it was really bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad there. Well, both these guys swimming. This is good. They're much closer than they were. Well, I guess the last time Jam was here, which was after his continue. But they are pretty close at this point. Scav, I'd say 25 seconds ahead of Jam.
Pretty much, and this coming up here is where the run really got away from Jam last time, was on the crab glitch here. So assuming he can actually execute the crab glitch this time like he did the second time there, we won't have nearly as large a disparity in the run times.
Yep, and Scav taking a death here. Notice that this is something that he consistently is doing. He has to go all the way over there to take a death, and he could have done that previous room a little differently to keep that gun turret alive, and he could have saved himself about 2 seconds on that death. But for some reason, it's not the route that he uses. But there we go. He's killing off that creature up top, which is generally what you do when you're going to tank all the hits and come in here with low health. If he came in here with high health, he would have actually wanted to leave that gun turret alive up top above the boss so that it could damage him right now while he's fighting.
Yeah, Scav, meanwhile, getting a pretty quick glitch. Question brought up in the chatting clip there at Area 5. Is it a 3 wrap or a 4?
It's supposed to be 3 wraps in Area 5. Did someone do 4? I thought I saw 4 from one of the players as well.
Yeah, I think that's what they're saying. Is chat saying Jam did 4?
I thought I might have been imagining it, but it did look like he went too far on his last one. All right, well, Jam's about to do it. What he has to do here is he has to pause the game just as the screen is fading to black. You have 8 frames while the fade to black happens. Where is it? Where is it? No, there it is. Okay, and if you pause at any point while it's fading out, then it lets you trigger this glitch. That was way too many pauses, though. He actually lost some time there.
It's a much smoother execution on the crab glitch here the second time through for Jammy. Meanwhile, over on Scav's side of the screen, we are in Area 6 again, where, as you mentioned earlier, ice physics abound, and I'm pretty sure that was a way to get your game published back then for Nintendo. What do you got for us? Well, we got this really cool swimming area, this awesome lava area. No, that won't do. Well, we got an ice area. There we go.
Yeah, there's like a checkbox. Does it have a swimming area? Does it have an ice area? Okay, seal of approval. So here we are, ice area.
Yep.
This vertical room with these blocks is actually pretty tricky to do right. It's nice and repetitive, so once you learn the pattern, you can do it 8 times in a row. But there's some real slow ways to do that room, so if you watch the way Scav did it, I think that's the fastest way that we see people doing outside of TAS. There's actually a even cooler strat that the TAS does, but nobody tries that in real time. Scav makes that dangerous jump, of course. I've only seen him miss it once in this tournament, I think. And he's picking up well, not here. Where is it? We didn't talk about this last time. Homing missiles, right there. He picked up homing missiles and lightning. And one player that we have, Mr. PUBG, uses the lightning to pretty good effect in this area, but in general we don't use lightning because it's a very random placement. Like when you shoot the lightning out, it's random which way it's going to go, so very hard to hit anything. Homing missiles, though, we will see Scavenger use, maybe. I didn't see if he equipped it, but there's one good spot to use it in this room. Coming up here, and there it is. Oh, he missed. He was too early. That was the one use of the homing missiles in this whole speed run, and he was a little bit early on it.
Yep, I have seen him used some other runners here in this vertical room that Scav's in right now.
Yep.
I have seen a couple uses of the homing missiles to remove those wasp berries.
Right, that's pretty, I don't know, that's pretty hit or miss. You might end up wasting more in lag, because when you shoot those missiles out, there is a ton of lag, so you have to be sure that you're helping more than you're hurting in order to try to use missiles there. And I'm not convinced that there is a good way to do it. So Scav taking the death at what the appropriate spot is. We actually saw Jam taking a death at something that I kind of complained about when I saw it last time, but what you saw Scavenger do, that is what we believe the optimal spot to take the death.
Right. And I think at this point, though, when it comes to taking the deaths, I think, just based on some conversations with both Jam and Scav, that faster where Scav's doing it, but in a situation like this, then the homing missile also having trouble with Jam there, and he's going to fire another one.
Oh, okay. He doesn't realize those things don't do much damage. He could probably just tanked the hits and kept going.
Yep, I think that the taking the death is more of a preference thing right now, because especially in a race setting, you're going to do what you're comfortable with. At least that's how I think of it.
Yeah, don't change up your strats now for the race, but yeah, see right here, this is the room where Jam takes the... What's he do? Oh, he's doing it with the tank. That is one I've never seen. Normally you would hop out with Jason and die, but he was trying to go for a quick spike death and didn't realize it would take him 2 hits to be able to do it. So I think he was pretty surprised to be still alive after that first one.
Yeah, meanwhile, Scav getting a same easy peasy kill on Frozen Crabulous, aka Mrs. Grabby. The Area 2 boss is her husband, Mr. Grabby, so she comes back a whole lot madder, so that's why she's harder. Okay,
well, let's see how Jam does in this section. He's got one more death to take, and his health is pretty good. I think he'll die in 1 hit from these spikes. 2 hits from the spikes. Oh, lost some time there.
Oh, Jam getting Scav getting the ejector seat as he enters an area 4, so that does make it a little bit faster here to take the death off of that small ladder.
Yeah, that ejector, that's one of the few uses of the ejector seat right there.
And one thing you are going to notice here is some runners will drop down low and pick up one of those blinking hovers that you see, and that's just so they can use some hover strats later on. However, you're not going to see some of the top tier runners that they're just going to go and just use their jumping strats. It is something you can see, just do want to point that out. And Scav did turn around for a brief second. He thought about it.
There's no... There is a use of hover. If you can get a hover without slowing down, there is a way that you can save some time with it, but I think you'd need to have 2 hovers to make it work. I'll point it out when he gets to it, but there's a spot where you're climbing up a wall, and you can jump off that wall sooner if you have a hover, but I think you need 2.
Yep, you're talking about the long room where you fall out of it and use the Feasel drop.
Yeah, but go in the other direction. But yes, right. That room.
the climb to Area 7.
Yeah. So that, I think, is why he was at least considering it, but I think he realized real quickly that it would take 2 to do any good.
Yep. But yeah, there definitely was that split second of turning around. It's like, nope, not gonna do it.
Right. Interesting, he fell on the mine to reduce lag that Scavenger did. That's one that I've not seen before. I'm not actually sure if that's faster, but that's worth pursuing. Those mines, the little flashing mines like right there, what Scavenger just hit, they cause a surprising amount of lag for an enemy that doesn't even move. And Scav right now is approaching the wall that I was talking about. If you happen to have picked up the hover, he's going to have to go all the way up to the top. But if he happened to have picked up the hover, he could have actually jumped off this wall a little sooner. He could jump off the wall right here instead of going all the way up to the top. So you see that it's another like maybe 1.5 seconds that you're losing going all the way up there, which is why the hover is sometimes picked up by people. But technically not faster to pick up the hover just for that alone. You'd have to be doing other things with it to save time for it to be worth it.
And now we're going to see both of the Area 7 skips again. Just because, as we mentioned, that's just how Scav rolls. That's how he does things here. And it is interesting to note, the first skip is right here at the beginning of Area 7, so you can basically tell if someone's going to do it by once they jump down there. If they continue off to the right, they're choosing to not do this first skip. If they head off to the left, they're going to be doing the first skip, because as you can see, if you're not doing the skip, this is a dead end.
Yep. So now he's going to try to crawl up to the edge. This is going to trigger him to fall through the floor. He's going to land on this little invisible platform. He gets good RNG. The wall crawler went down instead of up. He's going to do the jump strats. He took damage from the enemy just before he touched the ground, which negated the fatal fall damage, which is why he's still alive after falling all that distance. Intentional death now because he needs his health refilled in order to do the next set of skips. So here we have, first you got to juke that guy. Oh, he took the safe strats for juking that guy. Scavenger, who are you? Taking safe strats out of nowhere?
Ooh.
Yeah, he overshot a little bit on that. He'll still be okay. He knows that enemy... Yeah, see, your hitbox changes, but the enemy's hitboxes with the environment do not change. So that's why he didn't get hit there when he was standing in the door frame. But right here, he does the walk-off strat and the crawl-off strat to avoid some more damage. And one more crawl-off strat to avoid fatal fall damage. There it is. And he's good, so now he has to just not screw up these lava skips. What is he doing? Oh, he's not taking intentional death. Yeah, I think he miscalculated his health there. If he was going to do that, the not taking intentional death there that Scavenger just skipped, he would have had to do that previous room a little differently to avoid taking damage from the turret. You end up just a little bit short on health.
Yeah, that was basically a perfect set of Area 7 skips there.
Yeah, he did, and he did the fast method. There's a slightly slower method that lets you...
I hate to interrupt you, but Jam, in the process of doing his skip there, actually fell a little too hard and died on his first attempt here of the first skip.
That sucks. The nice thing is you're not soft-locked. When you die, you can start this again, and you have an extra life to use, so you may as well use it. Good grenade pause from Scav. Jam's finding the spot. There it is. What's this wall crawler going to do? It goes the wrong way. He jukes it. Jam jumps at just the right time. He's got the spinner, so he has to crouch and unpause. And then pause again. That's too far. Yeah, there's the double hit. That's too far. After you walk off that ledge, you got to go exactly 16 pixels. I mean, you've got a little bit of leeway, but try to aim for 16 pixels, which is one tile, before you repause it. Essentially, what we're doing there is trying to get those off-screen enemies to move down to just the right spot so that when you finally do scroll the screen down, the enemies will be exactly where you need them and you won't take a double hit. But, yeah, he paused too late.
Jam take that third death there when he got back is because you need a minimum of 2 lives to be able to do both skips. So on 1 life you can't because you need to die to get your health back. So you need a minimum of 2 lives. So that's why you saw Jam take the death there.
And he's got the same bad pattern. He might be okay this time.
No.
Oh, he double hit again. He's got to pause it just a little bit sooner. Like when Jason's feet are level with the bottom of that platform that he walked off of. That's when you pause.
Area 7 is a very, very cruel mistress. Meanwhile, let's take a look at Scav. Doesn't get the hover drop from the turret, but also doesn't... Oh, he got a hover drop before that. I didn't even see that. So, Scav is going to be able to hover right over the spike pit. Just hovering over it just makes it infinitely easier than having to jump over it.
Let's see if he does the jump strats this time, which does work for him. So Jam is okay now for part 1.
Yeah, so while we're watching Jam take care of the second Area 7 skip, I did promise you guys the whole what happened to Area 8 and why is it all covered in spikes story. Well, the reason being is because initially the Plutonium boss, which is the first of the 2 bosses that you have at the end gauntlet, was supposed to be fought about midway through Area 8, and he was going to drop an item for you. That item was going to be the spike item, and basically it does exactly what you think it would do. It basically negates spike damage. So after going through the first half of... Jam having all kinds of trouble with
He had
skips.
2 problems there. There were 2 big problems. Oh, Scav with the death. Well, it won't set him back too far.
Hellway. Hellway does that. So anyway, back to the item. About halfway through, you're supposed to get the spike item, and I'm just going to allow you to go through the rest of the game and then take out the Underworld Lord. However, but then they decided to no, let's put both of them at the end of the game. Well, that's fine. It's all dandy. They have the spike item coded into the game. The only problem is there's no way to get it, and they didn't change up the level design. So you still have all these spikes that you're supposed to be immune to that you have to go through, but no way of actually being immune to them.
Oh, that's neat. Okay, so that is... He was not intending to fall there. I think he just bumped the ceiling. But it's actually possible to survive that fall. You can fall that distance, and if you hit that enemy just before you hit the ground, you can survive the fatal fall. Except, I don't know that you can get down from there. I think that from that spot, you can't get any farther.
Nope. Scav trying for the spike jump, doesn't get it this second time here. So we're going to have to be happy with the first spike jump we got in the first race. Meanwhile, over on Jam's side, like we said, Area 7 just being all kinds of cruel to Jamie tonight. Unfortunately, that's just one of the things that does happen in any sort of race setting. But unfortunately, it is what it is. Meanwhile... Yep, over on Scav's side of the stream. I think Jam is just waiting for Scav to finish up, and then he's more than likely just going to dot forfeit at this point. So let's see what Scav does with Pants. And it looks like he's pretty good. He's got enough health to survive a couple of hits from the legs there. So it looks like it's going to be a fairly academic kill here for Scav. The only thing I'm interested in is this going to be a faster time than the one he just posted?
At this point, it sure looks like it, because he just crossed the 30-minute mark. Oh wow, he's just crossing the 30-minute mark, and it's already dying.
Wow.
30:02
on his timer. So yeah, that is faster than the last one he just posted based off of his timer. Wow, right. Is that back-to-back SRL race world records?
That was he just set the #1 race SRL race record twice in a row. Skavenger did there. This time it was the 30:16 was the official SRL time. I remember that the SRL timer starts at the title screen, whereas all of our players start the timer at character control. So there's going to be a little over 10 seconds difference. But there you go.
Speaking of Skavenger216, he is now joining us here in the Discord call.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Yeah. Not too much. So I'm just going to be the guy who points out the obvious. Back-to-back SRL race world records.
Yeah. This should have been a sub 30. That second race should have been a sub 30, but I choked in the hellway. What? Oh well. What can you do? Give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
Oh, I forgot to update the board here. Looks like 2 wins for Scavenger. So now Scavenger is at 3 wins, 0 losses. Jam is at 2 wins, 1 loss. And in the overall, I'm not talking about in today's match, but in overall in the bracket, Scavenger has won 3 matches and lost 0, and Jam has won 2 and lost 1.
All right, is that better?
No, it sounds the same actually.
Try this.
So while we wait to get Scav in, hopefully his microphone working, Jam still looking like he's trying to nail this area 7 skip.
He is still going. He has forfeited from this race, but his timer is still running.
I think at this point he just wants to complete it for the sake of, I'm not letting the game beat me, damn it.
Exactly. I'm going to switch to the Area 7 background to give him a little support there.
Can you hear me now?
Hello? Oh, it's still not quite working. I'll just turn your volume way up, and maybe it'll work.
Yeah, it shouldn't be picking up my other mic.
Oh, there we go. That
Wow.
sounds a lot better.
Discord lies.
Yes, it's the internet. Of course it lies.
All right. So, in the first race, you were doing some different stuff with missiles. Did you miss a missile drop?
The first race? No. I used an extra set of missiles early.
I see. I thought that I saw you using fewer missiles than what we normally see in the first race.
I tried doing a turnaround shot in Area 1 and accidentally used missiles, so
Okay.
Yeah. that kind of wrecked things a little bit.
And in the second race, you definitely were short on missiles, right?
Yeah, for sure. I didn't mash hard enough on the second skull, and I didn't end up getting the drop from it. I ended up killing it while it was over the spikes, and I wouldn't have been able to grab the drop without walking on the spikes and dying. I was on low health.
Yeah, based on your health drops, you may or may not be able to take an extra spike hit, but it looked like you were too low to be able to. You weren't... Okay, just to clarify, you were not actually watching Jam's stream or not aware of where he was? Or were you?
Not at all.
Okay. So your strats are going to be the same regardless of what your opponent's doing, is that right?
Yep, pretty much.
Alright, so
Like, I'm automatically going for both Area 7 skips every time, like regardless of how far ahead I am.
and I noticed that you did the fast version of the lava skip, the no-stop lava skip, because you always do that, right? I don't think I've ever seen you do the stop method.
Honestly, if I tried doing the stop method, I would have a higher chance of dying, I feel.
Speaking of the Area 7 skips, in that second race, what was going on when you finished off with the skip and then got into the lava skips? You went right for it, and then did you realize you didn't have enough health to go through all of it, and that's why you stopped?
Brain fart.
Okay.
I usually take a death abuse as soon as I enter the dungeon to refill my health for the skips, and I just kinda brain farted.
So if you may or may not have heard that ding on your side of the screen, but that means we also have with us JamEvil.
Hey, what's up, Jam?
Hey, what's going on?
Yo. So we were just talking about this race here. What were your thoughts going up against Scavenger? Were you thinking, I'll probably not win this, or are you thinking this could be anyone's game?
No, I knew for sure that I wasn't going to win it. He's 100% better on execution. He's the world record holder in this category, so there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to lose this. I went in with it with an open mind, saying if Scav soft locks in some point, I would have an opportunity to advance, but not after this performance tonight. I'm very upset with my performance.
So didn't really meet your own standards here for the runs today, huh?
You tell me. Yeah. Thanks.
Makes you feel better. You still probably have a better time than I do.
That is up for debate.
Perfect.
Right. Well, also, Scavenger just got 2, I don't know if you noticed, but he got 2
Oh, yeah.
SRL records in a row.
Yeah.
So,
I could have played my absolute best and would have never beaten that. So I'm not upset at all with the outcome. More so, I'm upset that I'm not nailing the skips that I have been doing so well with practice. And the crab glitch? What? I mean, the past like 2 days, I've been having issues with it, and I don't know why. I gotta reevaluate my approach to that because my what I thought was my old technique is no longer working. So I'm just gonna have to save state practice that a little bit. But besides that, I mean, my execution was decent. I was pretty much up to par on what my runs were, so I gave him my all. This is the outcome.
I just want to take a second and also say that I think I pulled the first spike jump in a race.
You did. I don't want to bring up much, but if you haven't, you have to go back and watch the highlight of the spike jump. Not for anything more than Fiesel's reaction to the spike jump is amazing.
Really?
I was surprised. I'd never seen that before.
Yeah, Mojo was joking around like, you should try the spike jump I do on the test, so I went and watched and was like, I think I could do that, and then one day it was like kind of just a deadish run, like no chance of PB, and Mojo was in my chat, so I was like, here you go, Mojo. Holy crap, that actually worked?
Right.
Yeah, so since then, as long as I have the health to try it, I try it.
Yeah. So definitely no more races for me past midnight. This is, too late for me. Too late for Jamie. I wake up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, so it's like I'm like overexhausted.
Sorry, Jam.
That's all right, man. Like I said, it didn't matter what the outcome was of this race. It was gonna be what it was. I mean, if anything, I could have probably snagged one from you if you wanted to make it go longer, but I don't think that would have been a good idea. I think it would have been. I think I would have been extremely overtired and very cranky by the end of the next match if there was one.
If there was one, and you certainly wouldn't want to take me on afterwards, would you?
Yeah, sure. Just mark me down to forfeits, and I'll take a nap.
Nice. Okay.
Speaking of that, I have to play the schedule guy here for a minute, and because I like a little bit of intrigue. I know you guys schedule the races whenever you can, but from an intrigue perspective, the proper way to do this would be to go Scav Fiesel, and then have basically the Jam Fiesel match can basically be a win and in. I'm not saying that's the way you guys are going to do it, but just from an intrigue perspective, that makes things so much more fun.
Not necessarily, because if Fiesel beats me, then doesn't that change things up quite a bit?
Technically yes, but math-wise, based on math, and this was brought up in the chat, with your win tonight, you are guaranteed to be into the next round just based off of wins, losses, and math in general.
Oh.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes, I'd have to win against Fiesel, and I think he still has the count as far as wins go versus losses with me, so he'd have to lose against you, and I'd have to win against him, but he still would be able to take it. So,
I see.
Mathematically, you two are going into the finals. Woo!
No, I think the race between you and Fiesel is going to be like the craziest
fun.
of the group.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Closest? No, Scratch Dragon and I were the closest. We were perfectly evenly matched skill level wise.
Yeah, the only problem with that match is they kept calling everybody a scavenger.
Well, it didn't work because the skill didn't rub off.
I was trying to help.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Also, if I lost to both Jam and Scavenger, then it would be Jam and Scavenger that advance.
Oh
so
yeah.
I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. So
Yeah.
I have to win
Yeah.
at least one of the next 2 matches that I play.
You'll whoop Scav though. It's no problem. He's easy.
Yeah, he only ties
He's
my
gonna
PB.
beat a 30:02. Yeah, a 30:02, and then you're fine.
Right, 30:01, I guess, is what my PB is right now. So he just in a race got a time that's essentially equivalent to my PB. So
Yeah. Well, you can do a gentleman's agreement that you just keep resetting until you're on PB pace, going into Area 8. Is that not a thing?
Let's just put it this way: if that was the gentleman's agreement that we did, and we did the restream, by the time we're like on the 7th reset, I'd be singing Broadway tunes.
Please.
I've
don't
actually
do
had a
that.
bunch of runs that were PB pace, that were sub 30 pace going into Area 8, so I don't know if that would necessarily guarantee that I'm not going to choke it away at the end.
If I wouldn't have died in the Hellway on that second race, I think that would have been like a 29:50-ish.
It's true, you did have that Hellway death on that second race and still managed to get about 30 minutes, so... Yeah, that would have been cool to see a sub 30 SRL time.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh well.
yeah, good races. I was pretty entertained. I saw some new stuff that I hadn't seen before.
Spike jump TM.
And spike
Patent
jumps.
pending.
Yep.
Failing crab glitch.
That's something we haven't seen a lot of. No.
Not a lot of, no. I almost had him,
You
too.
did.
If you noticed.
I
I
thought
was
you had
was like 1 or 2 shots away from nailing him. And I fatigued. It's hard to hold A and mash B. Like, so I got fatigued right at the end there. And I knew I had him. He was shooting bubbles like crazy, which means like he's about to pop. So
Yep.
it just I just couldn't finish it off. And I was practicing that before the race too, and I did it with like no problem. So I don't know.
I can confirm. I saw him practice it.
Yeah, combination of I think I practiced too much and psyched myself out, and being tired. So next time, let's schedule our race for like 8:30 in the morning, Fiesel, if that's cool with you. That's
by
when I'm
me.
prime. I have 2 cups of coffee in me. I'm good to go. I'm wired. I don't even have to mash. My fingers are already going because all the caffeine. So
All right, we'll do morning race. I'll do that.
Although, speaking of that, if you allow me to segue,
We do
there
have-
is a morning race scheduled for tomorrow. In fact, 9 a.m. in the morning in Eastern Time.
Oh god. Really?
Yep.
Yep, Concakes and Highlander.
nice.
I guess
That
I'll
should
be
be
the
a
only
good
one of us who's there. So
I maybe, depends on what's going on tomorrow.
If I'm up that early, I might be. I can't guarantee anything there though.
yeah, but 9 a.m. that's going to be in about 7 hours. 7 hours from now, we've got Concakes versus Highlander GCB, and I think that is going to be a fairly well matched pairing. I think
You are correct, sir.
I think that should be a good match. If you guys, if anyone wants to get up for it, anyone who's watching now, I'm sure the morning people will love it. But us late night folks, not so much. But
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, I played a scrimmage match against Highlander earlier today, and he was pretty close with me most of the way, but he had a console error / emulator error, so that caused him to not be able to finish. But yeah, he's primed. He's ready to go.
I think we've got another Blaster Master match tomorrow, though, too, right? Isn't that
Yeah.
when Rich does it?
Yeah, Rich and Orpheus at 7 p.m.
At 7 p.m., that's right. So 7 p.m. we got some Infested Rich versus Son of Orpheus. This is going to be pretty important. Son of Orpheus needs to win this in order to qualify. If Son of Orpheus loses... So Infested Rich already... well, he's almost got it on lock. I'm just looking at the brackets here. Rich has 3 wins, 0 losses. Son of Orpheus has 2 wins, 1 loss. And Melis has 3 wins, 1 loss. And we will definitely have a tiebreaker situation. If Rich loses, he'll be tied with Melis. And if
As
Rich
will Son.
wins, then it'll be in Rich and Melis that move up. Oh wow, it'll be a 3-way tie.
Yep, if Son of Orpheus
Yeah.
wins, it'll be a 3-way tie.
Wow, look at that.
Wow.
So then it goes down to who has the most
Points.
points or wins points. Like,
Like race wins.
yeah,
Percentage of race wins.
gotcha.
Right, so that's where winning 2-0 is going to be better than winning 2-1.
Yes. That's where less is more.
When is Group D gonna play? That is a good question.
Yeah, we're working on that.
Yeah.
We're working on it, indeed.
I'm not.
No, I say we in this. I say we in the sense of Fiesel,
Yeah.
the busiest man in speedrunning.
Oh, we'll see.
Hey, we sure do appreciate everything that you guys do. Thank you for the awesome commentary tonight and the restream. That's, as always, fantastic job, and I really appreciate it. You guys give us the best coverage available.
Oh, thanks.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, we'll give these runners a follow. There's the links in the chat, Skavenger216 and JamEviler. Those are the channels to watch. And we are going to get some sleep and be back 7 hours from now for Concakes versus Highlander GCB in Blaster Master.
Yep. So on behalf of everybody here at Speed Gaming, our both racers tonight, Skavenger216 and JamEvil, and for my broadcast partner, Feasel, I am the Greenleaf Effect, reminding you that no matter what you're doing, it's always the right answer to blame.
Okay.
Oh man.
This guy.
Good job, bro. Good job.
Thank you.